AskReddit by Sultan of America. Android fans, what are the primary reasons why you will never ever switch to an iPhone? 1. Android has direct access to your phone's file explorer. 2. Third-party apps not on the App Store. 3. I like the UI better. 1 is definitely the strongest point for me. I like using my phone like a hand computer and I can't do that with Apple. A friend once said Apple treats its phone owners like users, Android treats them like admins. That's the most succinct version of it. I like being in control. I want to do all the little settings myself and it be easy doing it and plugging to computer being easy and all of it. Apple is too restrictive. One of the main reasons why I had decided to get an Android after having an iPhone was the fact that they force me to use iTunes just to add music and videos onto my phone when it should be something that I can just simply copy and paste. I can turn my text bubbles to any color I like. Also I can change the text background image. And I have text pop-ups that come up on screen with a little contact image so I can respond to texts or text recents from any app without using the notification bar. Universal back button. It's always there when and where I need it. I had an iPhone a long time ago and every app had its own back button in different locations. Yeah, I couldn't do without it. Price. Familiarity with Android platform. No other devices in my home are Apple, so having just the iPhone would be a nuisance. I had an iPhone for work for a while and I hated it. Never again. Can't believe how far down I had to come to find price. Also mind-blowing is how many people are like, yeah, but Samsung is the same price. Like, what? Why do people just assume that phones need to be flagship spec? For 98% of people who just message and flick through Instagram, you do not need a $1,000 phone. There are so many mid-range phones for 1/3 the price of the flagships that do everything a vast majority of people will ever need. Price. Advanced. Modded APK installs. Freedom. Install custom ROM. Have to say it again. Freedom. Advanced alone almost makes it for me. Shame YouTube Google flexed them too hard and they had to abandon the project. Still working great though. No ads. No sponsor messages. No annoying intros or outros. Variety. I can get different phones in different styles with different functions with Android. I still have my old OnePlus 6T because it has an excellent camera and a light operating system, a modded version of Android, I believe. With Apple, you are stuck with a closed environment on a closed phone, only variation you get this if you buy a new one, and Apple makes damn sure to come out with a new phone every year, which I will admit many Android phone companies do now too. OnePlus 6T is the best phone I've ever had. Shame what happened to OnePlus. I'm on the Pixel 6 now and I love it. Edit. Since so many of you are asking, OnePlus used to be set on being a phone with flagship specs and features but with a mid-tier price. To do this they cut costs in advertising, IP water dust resistance ratings, etc. The 6T is a perfect example for this. On release it had a Snapdragon 845, a great camera system, AMOLED display and its main feature with the on-screen fingerprint sensor, seen in a ton of Android flagships today, and it was $550. Nowadays the company is just another Android flagship phone maker. They do still have budget options such as their Nor lineup but they suck. Oh, and they took away the alert slider, which TBH was the only thing really keeping me with OnePlus aside from Oxygen OS, which is also now gone. No real web browser choice. Apple requires that all browsers for iOS distributed through the App Store use WebKit as an engine, which means that whatever their names, they are all in fact just themed Safari. Firefox plus uBlock Origin plus Privacy Badger. Until I can run that in iOS, it's not an option. Edit. Since this post is getting more attention than it probably deserves, I'm not looking for alternatives to these tools in the iOS ecosystem. I'm looking for exactly these tools. It's what I also use on desktop. I like these tools. I like consistency. The OG question was what's keeping you from switching to iOS, and this is my personal answer. I like changing my ringtones to stupid TV themes from the 60s. Wait, can you not customize your ring on iPhones? My Android phone has been to the bottom of a river without a case and I'm still using it 2 years later. Same. My S8 Plus was in a lake for 3 hours before we fished it out and it was working like nothing ever happened. Comfort mostly. Always had an Android phone and amp. Never felt the need to change as I'm used to the setup, options and amp layout. I have an iPhone for work related reasons. I don't regularly use it, but when I do have to, it feels alien. So I 100% relate to the comfort comment. Also, I really don't care for the look and feel of iOS. I have never found Apple operating systems comfortable to use. Something about them just doesn't sit right with me, almost like I can't think the same way as those who created it. It feels clumsy and uncomfortable to use. It's nothing concrete, just a feeling of uncomfort whenever I use an Apple device. I'm the family's resident tech guy, so have used quite a few Apple devices in my day, but I just don't like their setup for some reason. This for me, combined with no universal back button, it does feel clumsy and sluggish. Gaming emulators. You can pretty much emulate everything, from NES to PS2, GameCube using an Android phone or tablet, pretty much a mini Switch, or if your phone supports desktop mode or me out, you can also use your phone to play game on a large TV or monitor. Yeah, nobody takes my trusty Pokemon games from me. Edit. Apparently you can play on iPhone too. Kudos to you Königspiel for pointing it out first. Edit 2. Since a lot of people are asking this, I'm adding this for visibility. My trusty friend Königspiel pointed out that you can get ROMs from archive.org. For GBA emulation, you can use My Boy or My Boy free. If you're an adult earning your own money, I'd recommend buying the full version, since it adds to the immersion. Then you just select the ROMs from your hard drive and you can have fun. I may have said that I use GBA emulator, which I'm not sure exists. I use My Boy. I don't look good in turtlenecks. Last I checked, wearing a black turtleneck while using the phone is no longer part of the EULA. Cause I don't want my iMac and my phone to connect. Years ago I plugged my iPod into my iMac and the computer decided my iPod should be the primary library of music or whatever, and it deleted my iMac music library, like for exercise, to send over my iPod's little library. It did this without asking. I nearly lost my damn mind, but was lucky enough to have a backup with most of my large music library saved. So I decided at that moment if I ever got a phone, this was years ago, I would not want my phone and my desktop linked in any way. Syncing always drove me nuts when it came to stuff like file transfers. Just let me copy and paste the damn files without the need for software. 1. Price. 2. Proper file management. 3. Manga reading is way too easy in Android and there's no proper equivalent in iPhone. 4. SD card expansion. File management. Number 1. Not fond of the UI, I prefer more minimalist UIs, but file management has always been my biggest gripe with iOS. My machines are all OS X. Competition and flexibility to switch manufacturers with ease. I don't need to be locked into any device if another manufacturer has a better product and innovations down the line. This is 100% the reason, not being locked into an ecosystem. I have a Windows computer, a Samsung tablet, and a Google phone and they all work with one another wonderfully. Update edit. I should clarify that I have many more options by not being in the Apple ecosystem. More phone and tablet choices, more laptop manufacturers, and more operating system choices. For a majority of people, They'll use services that work in both ecosystems just fine and be able to switch just fine. I was responding to the OP asking why I am not in Apple's world. I should also add that Google is a service first company, so they work hard to ensure platform independence. Apple is a hardware first company that creates services designed to keep you buying Apple products. I'm by no means an Android fan, but still consider it the lesser of two evils. 1. I don't like to be forced to use anything on my phone or computer. 2. Customization. 3. Jack plug. 4. USB-C plug. 5. Price. Agree with you. I hope my S9 Plus lasts another 3 years. But also FBixby. Price isn't an issue with me. Samsung same price. I'm just used to Android, so why switch and relearn everything done differently? I buy budget phones and Android selection is the main reason for me. Those budget Pixel phones are just awesome. As an iPhone user who is switching to Android next time I get a phone, it's the anti-consumer business practices and lack of improvements with each new iteration for me. The fact that Android images look shitty when texted to an iPhone because Apple forces it to be that way infuriates me. I've met people who think Android phones have crappy cameras because that's what it looks like on their iPhone, and I think that's the intent. Features a couple of years before Apple invents them. An always available back button. USB-C. Battery life and super fast charging. Fully customized launcher home screen. Picture-in-picture was a game changer for me. 1. The prices. 2. Android is just easier to navigate through and customize. I hated iTunes way back when and I've never forgiven it. Edit. Thanks everybody. I'm Australian, so I posted this and went to bed forgetting I was in Prime USA posting timeliness. RIP inbox, and thanks for the awards. If iTunes had a face I would punch it. Can't transfer my WhatsApp data from Android to Apple. Expensive. I prefer the Samsung cameras. Nothing too serious lol. Choice. I don't need the CEO of Apple to decide what goes on my phone. Apple frequently takes choices away from their users, tries to tell them it's in their best interest. That's garbage. They only make these decisions to improve their profits. Is there a way to delete Bixby? Because I hate that shit. I never use it, but I accidentally click on it all the time. I don't want to pay more money for the same call and text capabilities. I hate Apple for beginning the trend of removing valuable features, like the 3.5mm connector. Then they doubled down and started removing chargers, and the other manufacturers are following suit. Fuck that money grabbing company. Soon they'll remove microphones and speakers because it's outdated technology and we have Bluetooth now. Used to be team iPhone all the way, until I had one break on me after a year and a half of taking immaculate care of it. I decided to try the competition, and have never looked back. 1. Lower cost for the same hardware. 2. Back tray buttons. 3. Software that is not available on iOS. 4. I can make it look like iOS if I want. 5. Development and certificate signing simplicity. 6. iMessage bullshit. 7. Loading indicators where iOS is missing. 8. Can develop on any computer, not just an iMac. Back button is the biggest for me. How do people function without it? I want to throw my wife's phone in the garbage disposal every time I try to use the thing.